Bluegrass label Rebel Records head honcho Dick Freeland had arranged for a whirlwind tour of the United States for the Japanese band Bluegrass 45. Now, on June 17, 1971, Akira Otsuka on mandolin, his brother Tyoshi on guitar, Saburo Watanabe on banjo, and his brother Toshio on upright bass, and finally Chue Chang Liao on fiddle left Japan. That was Thursday, and by Saturday they were on stage at Bill Monroe's festival, Bean Blossom. Well, the crowd loved them. U.S. bluegrass musicians were more than impressed with their playing and harmonies, and the members of Bluegrass 45 were in absolute heaven. Saburo and Liao were taken out to dinner by Bill Monroe after the festival. Liao got a fiddle lesson from Tex Logan, and Bluegrass 45 jammed well into the evening every night with anyone and everyone, regardless of whether they were professional or amateur. Now, their third festival that they went to was Carlton Haney's Bluegrass Park in Camp Springs, North Carolina, and it just so happened a documentary was being filmed there that weekend. It would be released later as Bluegrass Country Soul, and if you watch that, Bluegrass 45 is featured heavily in that documentary. Throughout those festivals, they would make lifelong friends. Bluegrass legend Lou Reed remembers hanging out with them the entire day around their bus. When he was 17 at the Camp Springs Festival, he got them, each of the members, to teach them little licks that they were playing, which they all patiently did for this young bluegrass teenager. And across the U.S. and even a festival in Toronto was where they played over that entire summer. They recorded 2 albums, one of them being Caravan. Now, the bus that they're in, that's what they toured the States in. Well, kind of toured the States in. If you see on the back, they're pushing it because it was regularly breaking out through that entire summer. They played the Grand Ole Opry. Manager Carlton Haney, who was the organizer for the Camp Springs Festival, was so impressed with them that in September, he booked Bluegrass 45 to open for Conway Twitty and Loretta Lynn. Then later in Richmond, Virginia, at a country show, they were sandwiched between Conway Twitty and Merle Haggard. Then later that evening opened for the killer, Jerry Lee Lewis. Well, after all that, they headed back to Japan, but their world had completely changed. Akira, the mandolin player, would move to the U.S. He would tour and record bluegrass professionally. He became very good friends with his hero, John Duffy, who was the mandolin player for Country Gentlemen. John even made Akira a mandolin modeled after his own mandolin that he had made, nicknamed Duck. It's a design where the scroll of the F-style mandolin had been unrolled, making it look like a duck's beak. Akira still plays that mandolin, as well as 2 other mandolins that were owned by his good friend John. Saburo and his brother Toshio returned to Japan, started the Takaranzuka Festival in Japan in 1972, hoping to bring some of the magic that they experienced in the U.S. festivals to Japan. Well, that festival celebrated its 50th anniversary last year. It's recognized as the 3rd oldest bluegrass festival in the world. SAB was also the publisher of the only Japanese-language bluegrass monthly magazine, Moonshiner. Also, the 2 brothers worked really hard to bring bluegrass acts to Japan. Many of those Live in Japan albums from the 70s, well, they're a direct result of the Watanabe brothers. Finally, the brothers also started a record company, Red Clay Records. It has the distinction of being the record label of Tony Rice's first album, which Saburo produced. Originally titled and released in Japan as Got Me a Martin Guitar, it was released in the US under the simple title Guitar. Now, sadly, Saburo passed away in 2019, but not before him and the rest of Bluegrass 45 left an indelible mark on the international bluegrass world. Thank you, Bluegrass 45.